Hi everybody, Ryan Ballengee back here from Golf News Net, and we're getting to this, really the meat of the golf summer, and we wanted to do some club reviews for you as you're starting to sort out your bag and maybe make some changes and adjustments after playing a little bit of spring golf. And wanted to tell you about a club we've actually been meaning to review for a while, but the spring and winter in particular has been so bad here in the northeast portion of the United States that it just has not been plausible to do an actual review of equipment. And so we finally got around to actually using these, which is a set of 3 hybrids from BombTech Golf. Now, in our preview video, we gave you a little bit of background on BombTech, and BombTech is based in Vermont, founded by a guy named Tyler Sullivan, goes by Sully, and he and a small group of guys sell this equipment direct to the consumer over the internet, mostly not through golf shops, and they do it all online. And what they kind of specialize in is this really bargain-priced equipment, from iron sets that are under $400 to a driver and 3-wood combo for $300 to a wedge set that's 3 for $99. I mean, kind of deals that make you raise an eye because the prices are so low compared to what we're accustomed to seeing from major manufacturers. And their belief is that by offering equipment at lower prices that may not have necessarily all of the technology that's packed into modern equipment, that the average golfer, the guy who doesn't have a boatload of money to spend on new equipment all the time, will benefit. And so what they offer here with their set of hybrids is 3 hybrids for $197. You can do the math in your head, but basically that's the cost of a major manufacturer's hybrid today, if not a little bit less than that, and you get 3 for that price. Now, there are some differences between the major manufacturer's hybrids and this one, and the 3 that are in this set. And those 3 hybrids that you get come in 3 different lofts. So you get a 3 and a 4 and a 5. So you get them in 19, 21, and 24 degrees. So obviously the gaps are relatively small, 2 degrees and 3 degrees on those hybrids. I would like to see a 3 or 4 degree gap on my hybrids, really any irons in general. But even at this price, even if you only found 1 or 2 that worked, you'd still come out okay. But these guys are designed to be mostly hacker friendly, so they're not kind of the iron style design that you see in a lot of hybrids that I would tend to play. I mean, I play a long iron replacement from Strixon in my bag, so I'm not necessarily drawn to hybrids like this, but I could see the utility and the value of these for a lot of players. It allows you to play sort of like a fairway would. It allows you to kind of have a utility to get out of the rough a little bit more easily, and you can play this from a multitude of lies in a multitude of ways. These are steel products, which, I mean, that's what you would expect. They've got a nice little black crown to them. They've got what's kind of become the paint job of the company, which is kind of black and this light lime, or excuse me, lime green. That's it's distinctive, and I like green, so it actually works for me. But if you like certain colors or not have certain colors on your golf club, then certainly this matters. They have their Grenade logo on the bottom of it, and they've got a take on the dual cavity that's been found in their Grenade 1 and Grenade 2 drivers. This really isn't as much the same point with these cavities as you find in their drivers, which is meant to design, introduce kind of weight movement into the design and a little bit of forgiveness through aerodynamics. This is more kind of a rail style, if anything, get you through all kinds of different types of lies, but have rails in the parts where you're most likely to go through it on the toe, heel, and center of the face. So I'm center of the sole. I'm fine with that. That's a good look. The thing that did strike me right away taking this out of the box is steel. Not a lot of people have steel hybrids these days. You may recognize Webb Simpson's Steel 5 hybrid, which he uses from Titleist. That's what he used to win the Players' Championship. So it's not unheard of to have steel in a hybrid, but it's not something you technically see all that often. Now, this is basically a no-name steel shaft. I have no idea what steel shaft this is. I don't know what the flex is. When you order it, that's not what you get. You just get this package for $197. So we took these hybrids out on the range, played a few rounds with them, have kind of run them through the test a little bit, put them on the FlightScope Mevo that I have, and wanted to give you a little bit of feedback about these in the case that you're looking for some hybrids and maybe you haven't made a foray into them before. Maybe you're someone who carries equipment for a long time and just has never gotten rid of that 4 or 3 iron or even a 5 iron, and are thinking about a way to get into hybrids and not necessarily spend $600 for 3 hybrids. And these are actually a pretty good little starter set. When you use these, at least my first thought was, there's no way I'm going to be able to swing at the speed I want and the speed I usually swing at with these clubs, with steel, and get the results I want. That didn't turn out to be the case. I really didn't have a hard time controlling these. It doesn't mean that I controlled them better, but I don't really know what the flex of this is. It's not a brand name shaft. There's not stickers all over it to tell me who makes it. And that's probably by design. That helps you cut some cost out of this by not necessarily using the brand name shaft. But for me, in this set, it worked fine. The flex was okay. I mean, I swing around 100 miles per hour with my 3, 4, and 5 irons. I never felt at any point like it was flexing too much. I also didn't feel like it wouldn't offer enough flex for most golfers. Now, if we're talking a senior golfer, we're talking someone with slower swing speeds, you may want to be a little cautious here. But if you're in that part of the bell curve, that 80% of golfers that swing anywhere from 80 to 100 miles per hour, this is probably fine for you. The shaft is probably fine. No issues there. I didn't have an issue with the footprint of these grenade hybrids. Again, like I said, I typically like a hybrid that has a little bit more of an iron characteristic to it. If not, it looks like an iron because they're out there these days. But this wasn't offensive to me. It didn't bother me. I didn't think the footprint was too large. I could see why it would be confidence inspiring for someone who's not necessarily a good golfer to use these. And you stand over it, it does have a classic look to it. You don't see the green, so that can't be a distraction to you. It's just something that's kind of an accent when you're carrying it around. There is quite a bit of offset in these. I'm not a big offset player. I do not like a lot of offset. But again, for a lot of players, having offset in these longer irons and these hybrids is a good thing. It's confidence inspiring. It makes you feel better standing over the ball. So coming at it from that perspective, that was fine. I will say that the gapping between these 3, 4, and 5 hybrids probably is not enough. It needs to be 3 and 4 degrees instead of 2 and 3 degrees. I hit the 5 hybrid probably about 215 yards. The FlightScope Mevo tends to give me a little bit too much credit for the distance that I hit with basically every club in my bag. So I have to dial that back a little bit. Based on the numbers I have versus what I actually do with clubs and the gamers that I typically use, I would say these are probably about 3 to 4 yards longer than the 5 iron that I hit, hitting the 5 hybrid, which is probably what you would expect. I mean, if you're really a bad long iron player, then you probably get 10 or 15 more yards out of it. But then going to the 4 iron, there was a pronounced difference. So you saw in the 4 hybrid, all of a sudden, might get it out there 225, 230. Again, a little bit more pop in the bat than what I would get from an iron. And that could be a good thing if you're using these just trying to get to par 5s in 2, or if you're just trying to get a little bit closer on a layup, or even if you're using them off the tee. I mean, 5 to 10 yards isn't going to hurt you. The reason I don't tend to use hybrids is because once I get into them and start using them, I can't tell you the high and the low end really clearly. In my hybrids irons, the clubs I'm going to approach to a green, short of the 3 wood, I want to know a really tight gap. I want to be able to say on the low end, I can hit it here, and on the high end, I can hit it 10 to 15 yards more than that. Hybrids, pretty much generally across the board, I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I know what the low end and the high end are as tightly as that. Usually it's a 20-yard gap or even a 25-yard gap. The difference between the 5 and the 4 is probably about 15 yards. That's fine. That worked out great. Nothing wrong there. Between the 4 and the 3, however, there really was not much difference. Accuracy-wise was fine. I mean, it launched a little lower, the 3 hybrid as opposed to the 4. That's just natural off. But the combination of length and weight and all the other things that make these 2, the 3 and the 4, different really wasn't that much difference. So if I were to walk away trying to figure out what I was going to use in this set of 3 hybrids in my bag moving forward, I would only pick 2. And I would probably pick the 4 and the 5 because they're shorter, they're a little bit easier to hit, and the benefit of having a 3 hybrid that really isn't dramatically different than a 4 hybrid, I'd probably just toss it. So in the end, if I were being realistic about how I would use these moving forward, again, I would use the 4 and the 5 hybrid, and I would get 2 hybrids for 197 bucks. Again, I could give the 3 hybrid to somebody else who might be able to benefit from it, and everybody could win. That's probably what I would typically do. And then I would get 2 hybrids again for 197. You know, it's about 100 bucks a hybrid. That's not bad. Yeah, that's still basically 50% off the price of what you would expect to pay for a modern hybrid these days. That's a good deal. And if you're a golfer who doesn't have a lot of money to spend on equipment, can't just walk into a high-end place, get fit to the nines, perfect shaft, everything, and you just need something to get in your bag that can replace a 3, 4, or 5 iron, or all of them, this is a pretty good starting point. I don't know if this is going to be the club that you love forever. Everybody falls in love with different things. I used to have a 5-wood that was probably about the length of a 6 iron with ridiculous offset. And when I was a beginning golfer, I used to murder that thing. And actually sold to my buddy, Scott Waz, if you're watching, hey, sold it to him for like 15 bucks when I started to get better clubs. I'm still mad about that to this day, because not only did he break it, but now I can't use it. And I still love that thing. And that was steel, by the way, before the era of graphite. So you can't knock it until you try it. And I'm not going to tell you that these are necessarily going to outperform or underperform against any particular hybrid, because it's up to you, your golf swing, your ability to figure that out for yourself. But for my ability and for what I was expecting, I was pleasantly surprised with what I got from these hybrids from BombTech Golf. Again, at a $197 price point, if you get 2 out of them that work for you, you've done well. If you get 3, you've done incredibly well. Even if you get 1, which I really took a shine to the 5 in particular, even that wouldn't have been that bad of a purchase. So go ahead and check them out at bombtechgolf.com. That's where they are. You can order these for yourself. You can see what other equipment that they offer. Again, if you're trying to fill some gaps in your bag pretty quickly, and you're not necessarily worried about getting everything perfect, this is where you need to be. This is where you need to be making purchases. If you're not looking at equipment that's years old and trying to scour sites for that, and trying to save a little bit of money on those costs, which are still even fairly expensive, check out BombTech Golf. I would recommend looking at these hybrids. I would recommend looking at their wedges. If you're looking for someone to get a little bit better wedge set than what you've got now. Maybe you got some ground down grooves. Maybe you just need to try some new wedges. They're a good place to start as well. And if you're a beginning golfer and you're looking for something that's relatively new, you can throw BombTech Golf into the mix. They have super wide sole irons, super game improvement style irons. Again, they're way less than what you're going to pay in the marketplace for a new set of irons in 2018. And if you're not willing to scour for 2 or 3 year old technology where you can pay a price comparable to the equipment that BombTech's selling for, then this is a good place to start. So check out bombtechgolf.com. I'm Ryan Ballengee. We'll see you next time.